na mimi ni supporter mkubwa wa Jama TV. Boss, mafansi wangu, mimi niko hapa na Tukoroyo.
We are here with Patrick Osoi, who is vying for presidency in 2027. Introduce yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I think I'm relatively now on most of the social medias because I happen to be the first millennial and to actually have the aspiration to become the Kenyan president in 2027. So my name is Patrick Osoi, born in Western Kenya, raised in Mount Kenya region, and also partly in Nairobi.
Yeah. So my first question to you, Mr. President, would be what took you interest to participate in politics in Kenya and specifically the presidential seat?
Actually, I want to say that I looked like someone who was isolated because when I started this aspiration, when I became actually loud about it, that is around May, when I came into the country and I went around through several counties. I was in Kisumu County, I was in Vihiga County, and also was in Nairobi County. I also met a few of politicians and told them about the aspiration that I had. So the challenging thing is that my aspiration to become the Kenyan president actually started way back when I was working with the government of our country. So I noticed we had a lot of problems, and especially the policies. And again, we had problems to do with corruption. I want to say the thing that made me or geared me from fighting impunity, corruption, such kind of things that are not, I would say they're not human, is that I was a special force soldier. And when you're a special force soldier, there are many things you're taught, and this is all about your life. You're live on the line. So one of the things that we disregard as a special unit, or maybe as a security people, is that false information. So we were trained and told that any person who gives you false information is actually a capable killer. So that thing, when I was growing in ranks in the government, I realized there was a lot of misuse of people, misuse of security forces, misuse of. So I felt there was a need for a person who was genuine to the cause and who, in this case, understands the dynamics of our country. So, and in this case, I would say that I was privileged to be in the defense forces, let alone went to the National Intelligence Service, that which gave me the biggest picture of our country. So this is good enough. As I say that I want to, actually, if you check on most of the things, even on my campaign website, you realize corruption is a key thing that I have highlighted there. Yeah.
So if you became president today, you can fight corruption.
Actually, I want to say that most of the things that we're going to capitalize on is meritocratic way of governance of this country, whereby somebody doesn't have to know anyone. You don't have to be known what tribe you come from. It doesn't need to be known like nobody has to bring you to get a job, especially if it's a government job. Because what I'm saying is that when we have good governance and we have a meritocratic whereby somebody is in their position, it is on merit, not because you know someone, not because of anything, or you qualify for that particular position. These things, I want to say that how we're going to deal with it actually is through softwares which are able to run the CVs or resume. If your CV is run through a system or a computer system, it will not be about whoever sees that CV. So it will be about a system determining who qualifies for that particular job. The same thing with the procurement, because we also need to have procurement processes being generated by by a software, whereby now it will have little interaction with the people, and that minimizing or making corruption to be like, especially on matters recruitment and matters the matters procurement.
Okay.
Yes.
On that point, that
Yes.
is what is bringing me to my next question.
Yes.
Because everyone knows about the protest that has been happening for the past 1 month here in Kenya.
Yes.
And you know, Gen Zs are people who are not taking mediocrity, and they are just fearless, they are tribeless, they are leaderless, and they don't want to feel like someone is taking advantage of them.
Correct.
So what would you say about that?
Actually, I'm very happy because also the other day in K24, I also made it very clear, and I also post a disclaimer because I want everyone from Gen Z, millennials to check my videos from May prior to any demonstration in this country. I was the first person to declare that we have gotten to a point of saying enough is enough, and that we are going to begin a movement. This is in Jacaranda. I stated that we are going to begin a movement called Enough is Enough, because I had felt there was a lot of punitive taxation that is previous year, and now the following year, which was this year, was more worse than what we would expect. Again, I want to say that my aspiration for the Kenyan presidency does not link up by saying that you are leader for Gen Z or millennial. So we are just in solidarity on what Gen Zs are doing and millennials are doing, because that is what we are all advocating for, change in this country.
And now because the president has been listening to Gen Zs. If Gen Zs say they don't want for example, the finance bill,
correct,
the Gen Zs say they don't want the finance bill, and the president agreed to reject it.
yes,
But yesterday, I maybe you saw it. The
yeah,
president said that enough is enough. Gen Zs are bringing too much.
correct,
all that.
yes.
So what's your take on that also?
I would actually want to advise our president, Dr. William Ruto. There's a time in life, or I would say that there's a time, and this time is now, whereby politicians and leaders in this country need to understand it is not about their interests or how best they think they can run this country. It is important to know it doesn't matter how they want to run this country, especially if it is people saying it. If it is people who are requesting, they are requesting this. These people are the ones that have put them in those offices. So it's not about his interest, thinking how he's going to do to Kenyans. It's about us, we Kenyans, what we want it done. So I want him to understand at this point it's not about him or about what he can do or what he is aspiring to do, but what are Kenyans who elected him in that position, what they want. Once he comes to that understanding, I can tell you and I can assure you for sure, if Dr. William Ruto today comes out and saying that Gen Zs and millennials, now I have come to you, I want you to show me what and how you want us to run this government. I'm telling you, there will be no fight. Yes. Rep will give bursaries to the office of the governor. I want you to calculate almost 130 million is given to a particular constituency. We have over 290 constituencies in this country. If you calculate 130 million times those constituencies, and then not pairing that we have 650 million that is given to do research and other things, I want to tell you, and this is the calculation that anybody can do, the education in this country can be absolutely free from primary level to secondary level, bearing that these monies, I'm saying this, I would advocate that these monies that are given to members of parliament to be given directly to the institutions or to the school system, so that the school is able to give free education. So, and I want to say that the work of a member of parliament or the work of any legislature in this country, their job is not to give bursaries. Their job is actually to represent the interests of the people in the parliament. Their job is to legislate. So I wonder why and who came up with this thing of giving people bursaries, like individuals, in this case the legislators, to take back to the people. I think it was a mindset whereby they wanted these people to continue showing up or showing off that they are in relation helping the community. So those are the kind of things I think they should be scrapped off and given directly to the education system, so that our education can be free to our kids. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Osman from State Union News.
Yes, sir.
Which promises you are giving to fathers in order to kufuatia?
So one, I am very skeptical, especially on promises, because one, I don't want to come up and lying to Kenyans that because I'm aspiring to be the Kenyan president, I am promising this and this and that. But what I want to assure you that the leadership that I want, or we want to bring in Kenya today, is a leadership that is inclusive, a leadership that is collective. the office of the president in 2027 and beyond. It will be about the people. What do you want it done? It's not about me, because the issues we have in the country today is because somebody promised. And he promised not with his money, but the money that belongs to the people. So Kenyans need also come to a sanity level whereby they need to understand that we are employing these people. It is not about them promising us, but us telling them what they need to do. So I'll be a president of the people, by the people, for the people. People will give me the blueprint of what they want in this country. I was saying yesterday in Jacaranda that if people decide today how we are going to deal with the corruption is to hang those people, that is exactly what we are going to do. If people decide that these people we need to do audit from 1963 to date, that is what we are going to do. So, but what I can assure Kenyans, I am a millennial at this given time, but I can tell you this, I am one of the leaders in this country who cannot be corruptible, to be incorruptible. What I mean is there are no money that will buy Patrick Osoy to change the mind of making this country to be different, because that is the biggest achievement that we can have as a country. I want to see equity. I want to see where instances whereby there are no corruption, instances where there is no impunity, instances where there is no nepotism. We have today people who are so educated today. They cannot get jobs anywhere because they do not know anybody. And that is how, the way I've explained earlier, how we're going to deal with such issues. So what I can assure Kenyans is that I am one leader who is committed. And I want to say that I'm not just, my commitment will not just start when I become the president. I've been a soldier in this country. I've been a committed officer in the National Intelligence Service. I have been a committed person in my entire life in matters integrity. So I want to see a Kenya that is zero tolerance to corruption. I want to see a country whereby a Kenyan, we will seal all the loopholes of corruption in this country. Because I'm telling you, what we have today is like a sack that you're trying to put water on it. And that water, even if it doesn't matter the amount of gallons you can put on that sack, it will never get full. So what we need to do as Kenyans, we need to scrap off any person who has a virus, any person who has been in the politics realm, because they had an opportunity to defend the Kenyans not to go the way of corruption. So anybody who comes to you who has been in the politics before, telling you that he's going to bring change in this country, I can tell you for free, there's no change they are going to bring. The people who are going to bring change in this country are new faces, young people, energetic people in this country. And again, as I answer to you to that I want to see a Kenya whereby people are considerate. We do not expect somebody to work more than 60 years. We do not expect you to work more than 30 years or 40 years in the government. We are going to make sure that if you get employed at 25 years when you finish your campus, you either work for 30 years, that is 55 years, or 60 years, whichever comes first. And you go home and you usher in a new people who have already graduated after 25 years. So those are kind of things I have felt it is important for us to do. And our senior people in the politics today, I want to say that there's no truth in this politics. We have a lot of selfishness in our country today in matters of leadership. Today you're seeing people who are past the 60 years trying to come to tell us as young people they are going to bring change to this country. I can assure you for free, there is no change a person beyond 60 years that can bring a revolution or can bring any kind of revolution, whether economic revolution, leadership revolution, party revolution in this country. It is we, the young people, who are going to revolutionize this country and make it better for us, because we have a future to live. Somebody past 60 years, he has only 10 years according to the biblical to just live on this earth. They have nothing to fight for, there's nothing to live for. So we, the young people, we need to stand firm, and we need to stand with no fear to make sure the change we want is the change that we are going to embrace, because the consequences lies to us. When our president today goes out of this country, God borrows money, God sign a NATO agreement, the consequences of such things comes and falls on the shoulders of young people. So we need to defend our country, and the way to defend our country is to stand firm and to come out and say that enough is enough. We need clarity. We need accountability. We need transparency. We need audit in every manner of governance in this country. Yeah.
Okay, my name is Derek. I'm from Best Life TV.
Yes, Derek.
Now that you said you'll be the president for the people with the people, what if some of the promises or the things which people will demand from you from 2027, they are not taken into effect, and then there will be some demonstrations? How are you going to handle the pressure from the people who will be demanding for their rights? And also, we've seen in the current government, people are being abducted, and especially the journalists.
Yes.
How are you going to handle that?
Let me tell you, and I want to be very specific. If today Dr. William Ruto, who is the president of this country, took the initiative, and if you listen to his interview when he was talking to addressing the Nation Matters demonstration in this country, I can assure you he admitted that there was a problem by his communication people to pass the information that was to bring clarity to the citizens, and then we would have not gotten into these rampages we have today in this country. I want to say, and I want to assure everyone at whatever level of management, whatever is key, even from the military perspective or from the security perspective, whatever is key for any clarity is communication. If there is clarity and proper communication and channel in this country, I can tell you and I can assure you, Kenyans are very considerate people. Kenyans, they cannot demand what they know it is not possible. They will demand and they will give me a job knowing that it is possible. We can bring this country to a first world country, I'm telling you. Yeah.
Sam from MTV.
Yes, sir.
What do you think can be done to improve the economy of this country without borrowing elsewhere?
Let me tell you, from an economic perspective, if this country we were to embrace a corporation, reducing the corporation tax. Corporation tax means what? We be considerate to investors, we be considerate to companies, we be considerate to industries to come into this country or to grow into this country. Reduce the corporation tax to around 15% or 10%. I'm telling you the truth. We are going to have a revolution of economy in this country. We are going to have employment of youth in this country until we'll have to source people to be employed in this country. So the matter of playing and balancing between what are you taxing, why are you taxing, you get? So those are the kind of things that I think to revolutionize our economy we need to check on. Also, we also need to check, are we going the way of economic model taxation or economic model way, or are we going through the taxation model way? Because those are two possible things to do. So I will see, or I will advise, or the economists will advise us, do we balance between the economic model and taxation model, whereby economic you believe in borrowing money and in investing money into projects that are viable and that which will give more return than what you borrowed. But we cannot borrow money to actually pay our current expenditures. Yeah.
Sam from MTV again.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what can be done to ensure that health services are affordable to all citizens?
I want to say that the health service is a basic need, and that which in the provision of our constitution, that every Kenyan has the right to get proper medication, actually proper medication in this country. I want to tell you that corruption has made NHIF, has made our new system, that people are pocketing, people are milking, whereby a person goes to the hospital and even the time they take to pay the bills is long term. Why? The money has been milked. Let me tell you, if we are able to curb the corruption in this country, even our medical services today, the money that Kenyans are contributing towards the medical services in this country, I can tell you for sure that we are going to have a health care service that is accessible to everyone. Again, we're also going to push the KEMSA. You have heard of KEMSA corruption and all that stuff. So it's all about corruption. If we are able to kill this giant called corruption and make sure that KEMSA brings medication are at the levels that the country needs, then we are able to consider and see that our health services are good. Again, I will want to see a country whereby it is not about inpatient or outpatient that you need to be catered for by the insurance that you're paying to the government. I will want to see a country whereby any person, whether inpatient or outpatient, you're able to be given treatment in the manner that is acceptable to everyone. Yeah.
Another question.
Yes.
The president fired some CSs.
Yes.
And then a week later, he rehired some of them.
Correct.
Yeah, your take on that?
My take on that is that I said it's a very irrational decision. That was, I would call it again and again. One, because he had a chance not to fire all of them, probably fire some of them, retain whoever thought that he was good enough, and then bring in another people. But we cannot expect somebody who has been fired again to be brought back again to the job. And let us be truthful. It is not possible a company just dismissing you and then calling you back again unless you've gone to court or something else. So what I'm seeing here, it was a political game where Mr. William Ruto took the advantage of Gen Z's and millennials demonstration so that he is able to fight his enemies within the appointment that had been appointed before. Because right now, even if he fires anybody, it's gonna be it is pressure from the Gen Z's. So nobody questions him when he fires anybody. So he wanted, or I would say that this was a mind game that he took so that he is able to deal with the people that he felt that were not suitable for him. So it was not about us. It was not about what we are advocating for. So if he's a genuine person, our president today, we want to see millennials and Gen Z's fill the gaps that has been left by those I call them crooks, because they've been all over doing things that are not professional in this country.
Also,
yeah.
When Gen Zs were on the streets protesting, the major thing that they were protesting about was unemployment.
Correct.
So if you became president today,
yes,
how could you finish unemployment crisis in Kenya?
So I've lived both here and the US. I've lived in the US like 3 years, and I've invested in the US. I run companies in the US, and I want to tell you that the most important thing, US today is in need of people to employ. There are no people to work there. There are more jobs than the people. So the demand of employees is high. The demand of the employees is higher than the jobs. So what I want to say is that the most important thing I have said before, that if we are able to deal with our the corporate tax and able to balance, corporate tax means that if you're a company, if it's Tesla company, we tell them, hey, you know what, we have a land here, we are going to allow you to come and put your installation here for manufacturing, and we are going to charge 10% of corporate tax. I'm telling you that we are going to have companies have their installation in this country. Why? Because one, people they will install installation here to even have the Africa as a whole as their marketplace. So we'll have more Kenyans getting employed, and even trying to source other people from other countries to get employed, because we'll have more jobs here. Because Kenya will become a base for Africa to whatever thing that we need to manufacture in this country. Yeah, it's a way. And then two, about employment, as I said earlier, I want to see a rotational aspect adopted in our government system, whereby, as I said earlier, that if you work for 30 years or you eat 60 years, you go home and no appointment, no any other job other than advisory services. Yeah.
My name is Francis. I'm Kenyaga TV.
Yes.
What about the agriculture sector?
So agriculture sector, I want to say there's something that I talked to a meeting of Mount Kenya, and I said that the agenda that we have today, there's something called globalist, or there are people trying to hijack the agriculture in this country. So I want to say that if we are keen enough to moderate and to be able to do market linkages, we are able to consider that how our farmers are doing the farming in a professional way. Are they having market linkages? Today, what we are seeing the market linkages being killed. Why? Because our president, or the government of today, has already been captured by the globalists who are trying to control this country. And I want to talk very clearly because I'm in Mount Kenya East today. The Mirath sector, you've seen it. Politics getting into such kind of aspect. Because one, the government wants to kill the economic power of every community in this country so that they're able to control the citizens of this country. I am saying this from a perspective of what I've seen in the US. The US citizens they live on their knees. Why? The government already captured their citizens in such that they live on their knee. We need to resist this kind of economic, I would call terrorism and economic damage of this country. So I will see a country that is focused on agricultural produce and market linkages, whereby that is the most important thing for a farmer. Nothing else that a farmer wants. Market linkages, cheap fertilizers, and a good conducive environment for them, to do their farming. Yeah.
I'm Osman from State Embu News.
Yes, sir.
What have made you to start your campaign, Harry?
Actually, I would say that I started this year. I would say that it is not a campaign as per se. I'm actually doing sensitization. I'm actually training Kenyans. I'm actually informing Kenyans that if any politician, any person comes to give you money for whatever reason, especially for any political advancement, to say no, because that is equivalent to a prostitution in this country, and that which makes these people to misuse us and use us in the worst way. So I'm doing training and sensitization and making Kenyans, and I want to call upon everyone anywhere at any given time to start trying to educate the next person so that we understand what are the consequences of us accepting money from the politician. We cannot expect somebody like Dr. William Ruto, the president of this country, use more than 2 billion or 3 billion and expect that person not to have his ways in this government. And I want also to tell Kenyans, you cannot call any leader to accountability if that leader got into a seat using his own money. So it is the high time for Kenya to understand the dynamics of accepting money from the politician. 2027, I want to request all Kenyans all over this world to make sure that it is about Kenyans. We are going to finance, every Kenyan will stand to finance every leader who get into power, so that we're able to question them, so that they're able to be accountable, and so that when we want to send them home, we send them freely, because none of their monies was used to campaign. So that is one thing we need to capitalize on. So per se, I'm doing socio-economic also programs. I want to see Kenyans we do socio-economic programs, because I have already understood when somebody is empowered socially, when somebody is empowered economically, what happens with political decision? They have a way to negotiate the political decision. They have a way to dictate what kind of leadership they want. So that is what I'm doing currently. So I haven't started my campaign yet. I'm just saying that I'm a presidential aspirant in 2027. When the politics starts, I'm telling you, it's gonna be fireworks in this country. Yeah.
Sam from Embu TV again.
Yes, sir.
What do you think should be done to ensure that county serves the citizens effectively or accountability?
One thing I want to say that the counties and the devolution that we brought, and the devolution that is being killed by the same giant corruption. I want to say that we have Texas as a state in the United States, which is bigger than this country, almost twice, which is managed by a governor. So, and that is why you have heard us saying that we want also the number of seats of governors to be reduced, the number of senators to be reduced, to scrap off some seats that they are not necessary to run our government today. So what I'm seeing here is that once we generate, or once we come up with a software system to run our administration, we are going to come and be able to be, able to curb every issue in every county.
Sam from Embu TV again.
Yes.
How can we make education free?
Again, as I said, it is easier to make our education free. One, because I told you every constituency receives more than 130 million. If you multiply that by the number of constituencies, you're seeing billions of monies flowing there. And I can tell you the billions of money that are there, when you multiply that, is enough to give our kids education free from primary to high school.
Okay, Francis from Kenyaga TV.
Yes.
What about the Juakari sector?
You what?
Juakari sectors.
Juakari.
Yes.
Juakari sector. This is what I want to see. I will request Kenyans we come into a talk or agreement whereby we begin to develop our kids to develop something called technical schools at actually primary level. By the time they get to high school level, a kid at maybe grade 10 is already a business oriented person because as a skill level. Today we are having issues with people who have graduated in the university with masters, with bachelors. One, because they do not have technical skills to take care of them. So what I want to say is Juakali sector is brought by technical skills. So I will want to see a country whereby a person as an alternative, if your education in a particular area is not working, you have a technical skill that you can actually capitalize and make it a business and give you a living. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I'm Moses from Jama TV. My question is, are you going to change your mind as we near the elections?
I want to say that what I'm geared to do is actually to make sure that the mindset of Kenyans and mindset that has been there before, we have changed it to the better of this country. And when I say that I'm advocating for change, actually a paradigm change in this country, is because I understand if we do not change our mentality, if we do not change some policies in this country, we are going to continue struggling in this country. At times I would even say it's not about the leaders who are bad, but the policies that we have in place are bad policies. So we also need to work out with our policies. We will actually have to do, I would say we may actually tend to do referendum to make sure that we do the revision of our policies and even our constitution to make sure that it's suitable, not a colonization kind of a constitution. Yeah.
It's Njama again. My question is, have you reached all the requirement to be the president of Kenya?
Actually, I would say that for one to meet a requirement or to be a president of any country in this world, one, it is to understand the national interest of a country. Having served in the National Intelligence Service, we are the people, we are the body that trains the executive and even the parliamentarian on how to run the government. I have the qualification, both professional and both academic, to make sure to be the Kenyan president.
My last question, do you think it seems that you'll be the youngest president of this country.
Yes.
How is your feeling toward that?
Actually, me becoming the Kenyan president in 2027, it will be a pride, a win for all of us as young people. And that is why I have said here, it is not about Patrick Osoi being the youngest president in this country, but it's about us, the young people, taking over this country, bringing the change we want, putting the policies that we want, and making sure that we are in a conducive environment even for our future kids.
My last question, do you feel maybe away from politics, but on the same table, do you feel Eric Omondi, the way he has been handling demonstration, like the last demonstration he has, he was campaigning for Mama Mboga.
Yes.
Do you feel he is being propelled to do that, or it is from his heart?
I want to say that we need to check the track records of every person, every leader in this country, and that's why I put a disclaimer to Gen Zs and millennials. They need to check the records. They need to check even for myself, because we do not want any leader, any person taking advantage of whatever is happening in this country. But we want one Kenya that is geared to change. On the matters Eric Omondi, for example, I wouldn't want to capitalize much on that, but I would say that we need to be very cautious to see and look where is Patrick Osoi coming to take advantage of this movement. What was Patrick Osoi doing before or prior to this movement? We need to check very closely, and that's why I put in disclaimer. I want Gen Zs and Millennium to go to my page, see what I did on May and what came to be about our bill and what is happening in this country. We were the first people. I've also heard Eric Omondi also advocating for good things in the country before this demonstration. Therefore, I say, even if whatever way he is putting it, he is putting it for the goodwill, or it has a goodwill, whether he is being engineered to do that, but whatever he is advocating for is for the goodwill of this country. Good governance, good leadership, no corruption, no impunity, no nepotism. That's what I would actually put across on that. Yeah.
That's where we come to the end of this interview. Thank you so much, Patrick, for making your time to come and talk to us. Yes. And I wish you all the best.
I appreciate so much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay.
Come to the end of this interview, and thank you so much, Patrick, for making your time to come and talk to us. And the people, even the people who avail themselves, the online medias in Embu, we appreciate so much. And also, we can't forget to appreciate Isaac Walton in Embu for accommodating us to have this conversation.
Cut.